Next story I wanted to talk about is about a guy named Manuel Johnson. I had not heard of this guy before, but apparently he's really big in the evangelical prophecy category or subcategory of televangelists. He's right up there with Kat Kerr, Mark Taylor, Hank Kunneman, Kenneth Copeland, all of them. And he went out there and made prophecies about Donald Trump being the president and everything, just like all the others did. Somehow I overlooked him. He was even on the Elijah Streams channel. I cover this guy, Steve Schultz, constantly. I'm always talking about people on the ElijahList.com website. And by the way, the reason for that is because Steve Schultz, the guy on the left here, has about 400,000 followers on Facebook. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's bigger than I am. That's fucking massive. So I feel justified in covering the people that he talks about. They have a pretty fucking big platform, all things considered. And a lot of the people that Steve Schultz talks about are also on Flashpoint, Kenneth Copeland's TV network. So they're not nobodies. They are a pretty big fucking deal, and for that reason alone, we need to talk about them. Well, somehow Manuel Johnson slipped under my radar, but I'm going to rectify that right now. This clip is from early August 2021, and I think is probably my favorite because it's the most entertaining. In this clip, he's talking about something Jesus made him do. He made him do it because Jesus loves him and wanted the best for him. So let's see what Jesus made this guy do.
I was going down from the mountain, just in awe of what just happened to me. And the voice comes. He says, my son.
He's crying. He's crying. This has to be serious. What did Jesus tell this guy to do? It's getting real now.
Go get our bike. He said,
our bike.
Go get our bike. Not your bike, because this is not, so it wasn't just about me. He says, go get our bike.
That's right. This guy is crying as he recounts Jesus telling him to go buy a new BMW motorcycle. That is what is happening right now. This guy is literally crying to an audience of like 400,000 fucking people because he believes Jesus instructed him to buy a new BMW motorcycle. That is fucking classic.
And Steve, I just broke down. I just broke down right there at the foot of the mountain. I just broke down. Go get our bike? What, Lord, go get our bike? Yes.
Man.
And when the Lord directed me to the bike, it's a BMW. He was there from the whole process of purchasing it. And when he rode on that bike, I thought the mountain experience was great.
This is so ridiculous. I can't stand it. It's hilarious. And it's sad because you know what money he used? You know the money that he paid to the dealership for that bike? It was your mom's money or your grandma's money or your grandfather's or your uncle's. That crazy uncle at Thanksgiving that's always saying all this crazy shit about Trump. His money. The money that he worked his ass off to earn went into this prosperity preacher's pocket so that he could buy a BMW motorcycle and then go on this guy's live stream and cry because Jesus told him to.
When he rode on the bike, on the back of that bike with me, oh my gosh, that was a greater opportunity, and I've said this before, it was a greater opportunity than my visitations to heaven. In Florida, a gentleman said, I have something for you. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
So now he's claiming that some guy he met in Florida drew a picture of him on a motorcycle with Jesus on the back. And he's using this as, I don't know, I guess some kind of proof that Jesus really wanted him to get the bike because somebody drew a picture of Jesus on the back of it. It's ridiculous from the ground up, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to them. As ridiculous as this story sounds to us, it's rational to your crazy uncle, to your grandma, to your mom, to the people in your life who buy this shit. They believe this. They eat it up. Hook, line, and sinker. That's probably the saddest part.
The gentleman said, I have something for you. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
So this guy gives you, this gentleman,
Yes.
guy, he takes you out there and they drove from another state, you said, to give you
Yeah.
this photo.
Yes.
He
To
got
send
your
me
he
this.
got your clothes right. He got the color of the
He's
bike
got
right.
the color of my bike. He's got everything right.
People buy this shit, man. This is why we have to talk about it, because people buy this. Here's another clip. This is from July 31st, 2021. The title of the original stream that I pulled this from was, I think it was called like God's Kingdom and Cryptocurrency. That's weird, right? Cryptocurrency. What the fuck does that have to do with God's kingdom? I hear you asking that very valid question. Let me tell you what it had to do with it. Listen to this clip and it'll shed some light.
And Jesus had asked, because one of the religious leaders said, Lord, do we pay taxes to Caesar or not? Jesus asked for a currency in that day, and they gave it to him. And he says, whose subscription is on there?
Inscription, not subscription. Whose inscription? And they said it was Caesar's inscription. Right. So this is a parable about paying taxes. Is Jesus going to be like an anti-tax, anti-government kind of activist or what? And Jesus was basically saying the whole point of the parable was just pay your fucking taxes so that you can move on with your life and pay attention to the important things, which is God. You're here to pay attention to and serve God. So get the taxes out of the way so that you can love God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, basically. Your job is not to be a tax protester, was the message, in my opinion. That's the message Jesus was trying to get across, right? Don't be a tax protester. Don't make that what your life is all about. Your life is about God. So just pay the fucking taxes and pour the rest of your energy into serving God. That's what the parable was about, I thought. He has a different take on it.
What did he say? He says, well, give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. He's holding up the coin. And give to God what is due to God. He's holding up the coin. When he's saying, give to Caesar from this coin and give to God from this coin.
This seems like a shallow, transparent attempt to try to get his listeners to donate money to him and nothing more. I've known what that parable was since I was a little kid. I've known about it. I've understood it to be exactly as I described it a minute ago since I was a little kid. This guy's giving us an all-new interpretation that conveniently involves you paying him money. Let's keep listening because it gets worse.
You and I know that Roman was corrupt. You know they were corrupt. But Jesus is holding up one of their currencies. It wasn't cryptocurrency in that day.
Oh, interesting. Slip in cryptocurrency. What does that have to do with anything? That was completely out of the blue. I listened to this whole live stream, by the way. It was like an hour long or something. And that was just totally as out of context as it seemed to you just now. He just said it wasn't cryptocurrency in that day. Okay, nobody thought it was. Why did you even mention that? In the context of talking about giving money to your pastor, or giving money to God. Could it be any more transparent than this? He's asking for donations from his listeners in cryptocurrency. I can't see it any other way. Am I misinterpreting?
It wasn't cryptocurrency in that day, but they were corrupt. A lot of evil things happened. And Jesus held up from that time the currency back in the days of Roman, back in the days of Jesus. And he says, give to God and give to Caesar from that same coin. What is that telling you?
That is not the message of the parable. That's not what it was saying at all. There were other parables and other messages in the Bible that talk about tithing. That's not one of them. That wasn't one of the messages of that verse. It was about not pouring your life into being a tax protester, not pouring your life into the government. It was about pouring your life into God, into Jesus, into nothing else. So we know exactly what this guy's angle is at this point. I feel comfortable inferring what his angle is here. Later on in this live stream that he did on July 31st, 2021, I saw some attempts to associate himself with some of the other pastors that I cover, which is what honestly surprises me about this. I can't believe that I overlooked this guy. He's been on all the same streams, he's been in all the same TV programs and everything that I cover regularly, and somehow I just totally overlooked him. I went back and looked at some of the old videos that I watch, and come to find out he's actually in some of them. He's just like a background character that I didn't even pay any attention to. Somehow I just kept overlooking him. So anyways, this is his attempt to link himself to a lot of the same pastors that I've talked about in the past. Give this one a listen. Same stream, just a few minutes later.
The Bible makes it very clear. If I go and I'm listening to the prophets, and then I'm going to go and then I'm going to listen to the media, it's going to poison my mind. It's going to confuse me. It's going to make me think that God is not doing anything. And saints, yes, he is. The Lord is doing things. These are just a few of the things that happened this month.
Okay, so he's about to give us a list of things that happened in July and coming up on August of 2021 that show that his prophecy that Donald Trump was going to be the president in 2021 was true after all, among other prophecies that he made. He's going to try to establish the idea that he was right all along, and people doubting him are questioning the prophets. So now we can look back on this situation with hindsight. I mean, this was many, many months ago at this point. We know what happened in the month of July. Basically nothing. There was nothing significant on the Trump retaking the presidency front. There's nothing special about the month of July. Dude's just out of the presidency. That's just what it is. Biden is the president of the United States and will remain president of the U.S. until the end of his term, barring some unforeseen circumstance. But let's see what Manuel Johnson has to say about the month of July. Apparently it was incredibly significant.
These are just a few of the things that happened this month. Now, some people will be watching this program and it's already August, but this was filmed in July. So already, what happened in July? One of the things, what did 45 do? He filed a lawsuit against the mainstream medias. That's going to be huge.
He filed a lawsuit against mainstream media. Okay, I think I remember that. I mean, I follow this shit real closely. Trump is the leader of a cult, and my job is to follow and talk about cults as far as I'm concerned. I follow this shit really fucking closely. Closer than the majority of people in the U.S. I cover this stuff that close. I think I do remember what he's referring to, but the fact that I kind of barely remember it, it's kind of a forethought to me, is telling. Implies to me that it came to nothing. At least not yet. Then again, lawsuits take a while sometimes, so who knows? Maybe Trump will succeed in suing mainstream media at some point in the future. I seriously, deeply doubt it. But you never know. Crazier things have happened.
And that's going to follow with other lawsuits. Watch. Actually, it already has.
Oh, well, we don't have to watch and wait and see what happens. We're here. We're in the future now. Nothing crazy happened. I mean, Trump failed to retake the presidency, and that's just what it is. We are now a solid 7 months past when this stream took place, and I can comfortably say everything that this guy said in the stream was nonsense. It was nonsense then, and it's nonsense now.
What did our dear friend Hank prophesy? He prophesied on the 4th of July. On the 4th of July, what did he prophesy? He prophesied that God's hand was going to be known. You're going to see God's hand.
Yeah, this is him trying to link himself to the other quote-unquote prophets. Hank Kunneman is who he's referring to here. In a second, he mentions Kat Kerr. He wants to make himself seem like he's on their level. I don't know why anybody would want to be on the same level as Hank Kunneman. That's an embarrassment, but I digress. Let's keep listening.
The same day, 24 hours, right around 24 hours after Hank prophesied it, it came to pass on the 4th of July.
What is he even talking about? God's hand was visible in the sky? Is that what he said? I don't remember that. I have no idea what he's even talking about. I didn't even see like any clips from live streams or broadcasts of that or whatever else. Like, I don't know what he is talking about. Is he just making this up? It's very possible that he is.
Our dear friend and my dear friend, Kat Kerr.
Once again, dear friend, Kat Kerr. He's trying to link himself to these people. He wants to be, He wants to be remembered when their names are mentioned. He wants you to think that he's on their level for some reason.
Saw the hand of God in the sky. She took a photo of it. This was in July. It was so the shifting was already happening.
She took a photo of it, huh? Well, I haven't seen that photo. In fact, I'd be willing to bet nobody has seen that photo because she's made those types of claims before, Kat Kerr has. She's claimed that she took a picture of a demon flying through the sky, or she took a picture of God, or she took a picture of his hair, or whatever else. Usually when pressed on those claims, she says she doesn't know if God's okay with her showing it, or it wouldn't matter if you saw it because she's the only one that can see it because she has prophetic eyes. Things like that. Those types of cop-out answers. She never, to my knowledge, has ever actually shown a picture that she claimed to have taken of like a demon or God or a hand or whatever else. Let me see if I can... I'm just going to Google it real quick. Kat Kerr hand God picture. I'm not seeing any pictures. I'm seeing pictures of like the sky, and I'll put up a couple pictures when this clip releases of things that I'm finding on Google image search, but I'm honestly seeing basically nothing of significance. She claims to have taken a picture of a demon flying through the sky with chains on it. She claims to have taken a picture of the hand of God reaching out of heaven. You know, these are significant things. If you could produce these things and show people, that would actually change my mind. You show a real verified picture that I can verify truly is real of God or a demon flying through the sky, I will suddenly believe in the supernatural, no joke. But you can't. You never do. You never produce this stuff. Doesn't matter if it's produced or not. The people who listen to Manuel Johnson and Kat Kerr and Hank Kunneman and the others, they don't need to see the evidence. It doesn't matter if there's evidence. They just need to hear it to believe it. Simple as that.
You know, there's things going on with the voting fraud. The media is not going to tell you saints, you know, that Trump won. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you what they want you to hear. They're going to say, "Oh, it's not a fraud. Everything is fine." You're not going to get those answers from the media.
Well, you know, if you gave me evidence of fraud, I'd be more willing to believe it. I don't need to hear a single word from the media to believe that there was no fraud. The default position is not believing anything. Logically speaking, that's the default. You're making a claim. You're claiming to me that there was voter fraud in the 2020 election. I'm not just going to buy that shit. You have to prove it. You have the burden of proof here. It's your responsibility to show me that there was. Now, they have attempted to produce proof of voter fraud and stuff like that, and it's failed every single time. They produced a list of like 1,000 people who they claimed were dead voters. The BBC went to some of these people's houses, called them, talked to them. They're just voters. It was just a list of people who voted, nothing more. They weren't dead, they weren't lying, it wasn't fake, any of that shit. So you have not met your burden of proof for me to believe that. I don't need to listen to MSNBC to doubt your bullshit claims. I just need to use basic logic and reason.
I can tell you that right now. You're not going to get those answers from the media. So God is exposing voter fraud, and it's going to be throughout the United States.
I find it so interesting that he put faith in God to expose the voter fraud. And, here we are, still nothing, no voter fraud produced, waiting for it, and nothing happens. If this is God's job, he's doing a piss poor job at it.
This is happening right now in July, and it's going to continue in August. It will not end. So you heard this first. It will continue in August.
So he's telling us that the voter fraud exposure happened in July and is going to continue to happen into August. Did it? No, of course it didn't. He was full of shit then. He's full of shit now. That brings us to the next clip. This one came out late November 2021. I apologize for the poor quality. I think somebody just filmed this on their TV, and I actually had to do a pretty good bit of editing to make it look as good as it does currently. It was a challenge. It was an honest challenge, which I can appreciate an editing challenge from time to time. This is him claiming to have traveled to the future. God took him to the future and revealed some interesting stuff to him. Late November 2021. This is a year after the election took place. A year after the election.
Into this went through this portal, and I'm watching, and I see a lot of movements. It was a beautiful day, a lot of movements. Nobody was wearing a mask. Glory to God. It was a thing of the past.
Hey, everybody here would love it if the pandemic was over, but it's not. So out of respect for everybody else, we wear masks. We do the responsible thing, the respectful thing, to help people, to save them, to protect our fellow man. We wear masks. And for some reason, instead of doing that, this guy is obsessed with the culture war and refuses to. He's made it part of his religion at this point. Obviously, this is a religious sermon, and for some reason, he's talking about this culture war issue in a religious sermon.
The mask, the virus is going bye-bye. And I didn't know what year it was, so I saw a gentleman pass by me. And as he was passing by me, I'd asked him, I said, "Sir, what year is this?" And he looked at me crazy. He thought I looked like, I think he thought I was drunk. And I said, "Sir, please tell me, what year is this?"
This is like a Bible story. Nobody would think that you were drunk if you walked up to them straight-faced and said, "What year is this?" They would think, "Holy shit, this guy just came out of like a coma, or he's got amnesia or something crazy." People only think you're drunk when you act drunk, like when you're stumbling around, slurred speech, that kind of thing. The signs of being drunk are pretty obvious. If you're asking an odd question, it's not a sign that you're drunk. But weirdly, in Bible stories, they are asked if they're drunk regularly when they're just normal questions. This is like a biblical thing. In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses just told a story in a Caleb and Sophia video recently about this woman who was like crying because she couldn't get pregnant. Leah, I think her name was, or something, or Hannah, something like that. And she goes to like this altar to worship to God, and some guy was like, "Why are you here drunk?" Why did you assume she was drunk? She was just crying. I don't understand. That is like such an odd thing to just bust out of nowhere.
You think you're so special, Hannah? Then why hasn't Jehovah given you any children?
Oh, Jehovah, please see me. Remember me and do not forget me. Please. Give me a child. If you do, I will give him to you all his life to serve you.
What are you doing? Why are you drunk?
I'm not drunk. I'm under great stress.
Oh.
It makes it that much more interesting to me that this guy threw that little detail into his story. He thought he was drunk for asking a simple question. Prophets, or so-called prophets, love to do that kind of thing. They try to make things seem more biblical. They want to make it seem like it came straight out of the Bible. Hank Kunneman and Kat Kerr and others do this shit all the time. They use the type of speech that you would read from like the King James Bible, and they say, "Thus saith the Lord" at the end of their prophecies all the time. Why would God speak like he had an Old English accent? If you are transferring words straight from God to us, if you are God's conduit sending these messages, why wouldn't God use plain English? Why would he use Old English?
I say, this is my land, and these are my people, and I have raised them up for such a time as this. My people have prayed, they have fasted, they have called on my name, and I will not turn a deaf ear unto them. But to the lost, to the wicked, to those who chose to cheat and steal and lie, they shall have every curse come upon them that they have spoken over my president, Donald J. Trump.
It's nonsense, but they don't think that far ahead. Joseph Smith had the same problem, the creator of the Mormon religion. He translated, supposedly, the Book of Mormon from tablets that were supposed to be written in the 500s, but he translated them in a 17th century style English with quotes from a Bible that was, interestingly, his exact version of the King James Bible with the exact errors that his exact version had. Why would God quote from an existing Bible that Joseph Smith had? I thought he was quoting God directly. Isn't he translating tablets? He's giving us word for word what these tablets say. And for some reason, they were quoting from like a 17th, 18th century Bible? Why would they be doing that? God had access to the original information. I'm poking hole after hole in this story, and none of those holes matter to this guy's listeners. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that they believe him, and they love him, and they think he's a prophet of God. That's it.
And he looked at me and he says, "Where have you been?" I said, "Please tell me, what year is this?" He goes, "Man, it's 2022. Don't you know? It's 2022. And I go, "Wow." And then he started to walk away. And I asked him again. I know I was prompted by the Holy Spirit to do this. I said, "Sir, who is the president? Who is the president?" And he said, "Don't you know?" I said, "I don't. Please tell me, who is the president?" And he told me, he said, "It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is our president." And saints, get ready. I don't care how it looks now. Donald Trump is our next president. He will get a second term. So the way it looks, it may look like that he's not winning. It may look like all this stuff. But God has plans for our president.
Again, this was a year after the election took place. A year. November 2021. The election took place in November 2020. And this guy is still saying this stuff. Is he ever going to give it up? I doubt it. Hank Kunneman never gave it up. Kenneth Copeland never gave it up. Kat Kerr never gave it up. These people don't give it up. Robin Bullock is still saying that Trump is his president and he's going to be put in any day now. Now that Trump has endorsed the vaccine, some people are actually turning away. And it's created an interesting ideological war, for lack of a better term, where some pastors, some televangelists side with Trump and say that Trump is God's man and he's endorsed by God and he has the anointing, the Cyrus anointing and all this other stuff, and we should follow what Trump tells us to do no matter what, like a Messiah, essentially. That would be Shane Vaughn. He's been saying that stuff.
You know, they're losing faith in Donald Trump because of his stand on the vaccine. Let me correct you. You're not losing faith in Donald Trump, because it was not Donald Trump that put Donald Trump in that office. 4 years before Donald Trump was ever known about running for office, Yahweh, the God of heaven, spoke through the mouth of a prophet and said that a man named Donald would be put into the White House, and that man Donald would be the servant of Yahweh to restore America. So if you're losing faith in Donald Trump, you're really losing faith in the God that put him in office. And that's a dangerous thing.
And other Trump supporters have completely turned on him, like Greg Locke. He actually released a video recently saying he doesn't want to hear another word about Trump in his church. We should be here talking about Jesus, so on and so forth.
Stop sitting on your butt and waiting for Donald Trump to do something in this nation. But I'm sick of Trump worship in this church. I'm telling you right now, on the authority of the Bible, if Donald Trump does not get out in front of this vaccine nonsense, he is going to lose his voter base in the next coming election. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
The point is, these people picked a Messiah and refused to give up on him for anything until he contradicts some underlying ideology they already held before him. But that's a story for another day.